Morning. We're together again, and Desmond isn't here today. Boy, he's really been playing with my phone, eh? So I couldn't find my teeth, so you'll just have to bear with me. I think I'm going to turn on this heater nice and warm right here. I've been outside. I guess you want the whole story since this is 3 o'clock in the morning or something. Almost 3 in the morning. This is getting up time for the whole world. Everybody has to get up at 3 in the morning. What should I do with this pillow? I don't know where my mom got it. I don't know if she bought it or if it was given to her by one of the ancestors. The ancestors, that's how they think of them in places like Japan, I think. I'm just saying that. Here, this is perfect. Oops, except the chair's a little crooked. Oh, this smells so good. Okay, I'll turn it here. That's better. Okay. There, now we're all settled. Now my feet can get warm by the fire. So, here we are. Look at that nice light. Look at that nice table. Look at those nice books. Hey, that's my grandmother's mirror. I know I haven't done that wall yet. I just stuck things on things that were already there, on already existing hooks. Have to clean up the walls and do it properly. But it sure looks cozy in here with all those books. So good morning. What's up? Except you had to get up to go to the bathroom, right? Our bodies recycle every 3 a.m. or something. I heard that. I don't know if this is researched, or whatever, but I think it is. I think that our bodies eliminate the toxins at 3 a.m., whenever that is in our schedule. I went to bed last night I kept falling asleep in front of the television. I've been watching A Place Called Home. Oh no, A Place to Call Home. It's on Acorn TV. I got rid of Netflix because everything they showed me I didn't want to watch. So now we have Acorn TV, which is like, it's all English or British, and so it's all these British mystery shows, and I don't know. But this is a good one. It's very interesting. It's a very high society versus a regular person, like Downton Abbey, I guess. But that was really into the servants. This isn't so much about the servants. So I went outside. I hadn't finished feeding the deer. I had taken their bowl and put it over on the bin, but I hadn't gone back and filled it up. It's just as well that there's a nice shadow over my mouth because my teeth in. So it's kind of like camouflage, you see. Anyway, tinnitus is to do with your ears, hearing loss. That's related to tinnitus. But the idea there is if you make the other noise louder, or if you make the other noises loud enough that it drowns out the tinnitus. Good morning, Susan. Gee, it's been a long time since I've been on here visiting with you. We were talking about something, and then I interrupted it about talking about tinnitus. Oh yeah, I went out to feed the deer, and I had to get all bundled up. It's only below freezing. It's -6 Celsius, but that's not that low Fahrenheit. -6 plus -6 is -12. Plus 32 is 32 minus 12. 20. So it's 20 Fahrenheit here. Anyway, so I went, and it feels good. It's nice and fresh and dry. Hi, Patricia. You were up late. Um, anyway, so I went out to feed the deer, and I got their scoop of grain and put it in their black, rubber bowl. I took it around to by my bedroom door where I watch them in the night. I saw them last night. There were two of them, and they were really scared. And then I realized it's because I had my big mask on. I must have looked like some kind of a monster animal. A moose with a clear face. I must have looked like an alien. Anyway, when I moved, they belted it. Belted it. Now, is that a southern phrase or a northern phrase? Hi, Maureen. Well, as it happens, I can't sleep because I went to bed at 6:30 because I was falling asleep watching television. I thought, this is silly. Why don't I go to bed and get a good night's sleep? You just laughed, but I'm not sure which conversation you laughed at. I can carry on a conversation with many people all by myself. It's like everybody keeps interrupting. Hey, knock, knock. Who's there? Interrupting cow. Interrupting moo. Get it? Get it? So anyway, I put the deer feed by the bedroom door, and I put it a little more to the right. Is that the right way? That's the right. Yes, I put it over to the right. Yes, that's right, about feeding the deer. Have we got a lag? We must have a long lag, because you probably don't wait 5 minutes before telling me what it was I asked. You probably answer it pretty soon. So it must be lagging. Oh, yes, I'm sorry about Desmond. Oh, I'm sorry. I went back and deleted all those videos. It's really hard, He finds my phone and he just starts playing on it, and I don't notice. I'm not very on top of it. With a child, you have to be able to focus your attention on the child the whole time. And I get too distracted. And so he told me the other day, he said, and no more just a minute, and no saying I'll be there in a minute. So I've been told. So I guess I have to smarten up as a grandma. But it's really kind of rough to focus on a child who is needing you for so many things all the time. It's amazing how many things they need. Need you to get me some water. I need you to get me some frozen blueberries. I need, it's like he doesn't say it that way. That's not what I was meaning. Look at how long my hair's gotten. Wow. I have long hair now. And it was up to about here, and somebody said I had long hair, and I said, no. Or I thought, no, I don't have long hair. But now I have long hair. That's amazing. But I should really cut off the bottom few inches. See, there I go again. That was interrupting Nancy 1. We should name all these people. Like, one of these people is very focused on what I look like, and she'll interrupt any time. He is a handful. Thank you. Anyway, we should name all these interrupting Nancys, don't you think? Like, there's the interrupting Nancy that's always interrupting to talk about what she looks like. She's the one that's paying attention to the picture there and analyzing. Oh, look, no teeth. Oh, look, bottom ends are getting ratty. That's interrupting Nancy. That would be, we'll call her vain Nancy. Okay, and what other Nancy is? Then there's Spacey Nancy. She's the one that comes up with these wild ideas. They would be totally impractical. They would never work, but they sound great. Like my elevator. This is now Spacey Nancy speaking. There's my elevator that you have. It goes all the way up through the clouds, way up beyond the whole clouds, And then you're up there where the airplanes are. You have to watch out, but there's a red flashing light on the top of the elevator. It's just an elevator shaft. It's glass. Well, no, it's not glass. It's one of those things that won't break, but you can see through it. Anyway, and it goes, oh, fun Nancy. Now that's another Nancy. It's fun Nancy. What I was finished telling about my elevator? Just a minute. Okay, so, and what was my name again? Spacey Nancy. So Spacey Nancy has this elevator, and it goes up way up above the clouds. And so in the winter, when the clouds are having their annual reunion, all the little summer puppy clouds, they've all come back to have a visit. The whole sky is full of this amazing reunion going on. And it is such a breather when they finally take a break and we get to see the sun and the blue sky again. But now where did I go from there? Oh, so during the winter, you want to go up in the elevator and get up above the clouds because sometimes you just need a sunny day. Now, actually, everybody's going to need an elevator like this. So don't you think it would be prudent if it were put like in the center of the house? So like you wouldn't have to leave the house and drive across town to go in the elevator? Wouldn't it be better? I suppose in the beginning, like with the telephone. Remember when the telephone, it was just a very few had them. So in the beginning, it'll probably be just one elevator, and it'll probably be a fancy thing, like on top of one of those rotating restaurants. You know, they'll probably just have it going straight through and way up there. That would be probably the best idea, like in Chicago, because see, this is Spacey Nancy. It sounds more like Nutsy Nancy, but anyway, we call her Spacey Nancy. So you could go all the way up this elevator, and in the beginning, there'll just be one in special places like that. CN Tower. Yes, well, everybody should have one. You're right. It would be a good book. I wrote BXQR. I never published it, but it's a wonderful book, and the children all love it. But anyway, we won't talk about that yet. Ask me later. BXQR. It is the name of a planet. Wonderful place. But they have a meteor problem. Oh, the meteors, all day and all night, the meteors keep smashing into the planet, making dents in houses or flattening houses and even hurting people. Anyway, they have quite a problem, but we have a solution that will be, book one. So, the elevator. The elevator, everyone should have one in the center of their house, and they should be able at any moment to just get in it and just go up the elevator and through the house, looking around to check to see if the children have their bedrooms all cleaned up or not. And then up through the attic and out by the chimney and up into the clouds. First you get to see everything though. You get to look around, you see your yard, you see your whole area, you see your neighborhood. And then you see the rivers and the lakes, and then you get into the clouds. And the clouds are thick and dark. And you think it's sunset. Because that's what it's always like. Try taking a photo of in the winter. It's like black and white. It beats me why these kids love to turn their photos black and white. Like, who wants to do something like that? That's like winter. We have enough winter. But I love winter. Anyway, on we go. So up above the clouds, coming up through the clouds, and then the clouds start to be brighter. And they start to be kind of white, and you can sort of see it's not as dark anymore. It's like the dawn, and then you come up above the cloud, and as you come up above the cloud, just at the edge you have sunrise. And you get to see the sun and all of the, well, wait, no, the sun isn't necessary. The sun is rising for you, but not necessarily going to turn everything red. Anyway, but then you can hang out up there. And, you can go up there. Hey, it should be in the bathroom. And then when you go to the bathroom and you lock the door, nobody expects to see you for a while. So you can just take it could be like the shower stall. We're going to have to make them economical because it's a long way to go. So it'll have to be a shower stall sort of thing would probably be perfect. So you could have your shower stall which doubles a shower stall elevator. You see? You would push a button and it would leave all the fixtures behind. Or maybe it would just take them with you. But you probably should not use the shower at the same time you're going up there because obviously it's a little cold up there. I don't know if you realize it, but the higher you go, it's colder. So when you're way, way, way up there, it's very frozen. I think it all comes down as snow and then it turns to rain as it gets closer to the earth. Except when it doesn't. Well, it comes through and turns to rain and then it turns to ice and then it turns to rain again and then you got this mess. What's your winter been like this year? Mine has been nuts. Like it's going to go up to freezing today and then it'll be negative 28 tomorrow night. Negative 28. 28 plus 28, negative 28 plus negative 28 is 56. Is that right? 2 and 2 is 4 and 1 is 5. 56. Okay, 56. Now that's my next number I have to remember. Oh yes, mild here, that's what I was remembering. 56 plus 32 is 88. No, it's got to go the opposite way because you're negative. You're negative 56 plus 32 is going to bring you, so 56 take away 32. $24 or 14. Let me do that again. 5, 6, 32, 6, 2, 4, 5, 3, 2, 24. No, wait. No, because you're taking it. Yeah, you're doing it. 56, 32. So you don't have to cross anything there. So it'd be 24. So 24 degrees Celsius is what it's going to go from. 32 Fahrenheit to 24 Celsius? That can't be. 24 Fahrenheit? No, negative 18. Negative 18 Celsius is 0 Fahrenheit. So it's going to go to negative 24 Fahrenheit. This is crazy. I don't know. Somebody else can figure that out. Get that thermometer, the thermometer. All right, so now we've decided that there's vain Nancy, the one that always talks about her hair. And there's Nutsy Nancy. No, I guess we might as well call it Nutsy Nancy. No, but that's a little different. Let's call it Spacey Nancy with the elevator and all these crazy ideas that'll never be possible. But when I say I'm going to do it, my daughter thinks I'm really going to do it. Why would she think I'm really going to do it? What have I done wrong? What have I done wrong to show that I really don't mean anything I say? But I do mean some stuff I say. A lot of stuff I say. Most of what I say, I mean. I'd like to make an elevator. I think everybody should have one. And probably in due time. You know, the next generation is so wealthy. So they can do things like go to the moon by themselves. Like, what kind of... And meanwhile, there's still this huge percentage of people on the planet who couldn't possibly... Like, if you can do anything with finances, you know, you're better off than 95% of the people on the planet. Financially. But they're a lot better off spiritually. I think so. There's less to distract you. You know, I was thinking about the difference in being in a house that has nothing in it and being in a house that's full of stuff. Well, if you're in a house that has nothing in it, there's nothing to do. It's all done. I suppose you could clean. What would you clean? But anyway, some people like cleaning, so maybe they would do that. When you're in it, so this is Analytical Nancy. How's that? You know, I look at the pictures of myself as a child and I have this quizzical look on my face. That's what somebody remembered me as always looking like I was trying to figure it out. Do I look like I'm trying to figure it out? Am I trying to figure it out? You see, we must think about these things sometimes. Or we mustn't. You know what I did? I screwed that thing to the wall here. This thing here, I screwed it on. And one of the screws came off. This is very sharp on the end. It's a corner metal. And look where I screwed it into. I screwed it right into the book. Can you imagine? Okay, now there's that. Okay, that's negative, Nancy. No, it's not negative. Well, my feelings about it are negative. I mean, it's not a negative thing that it screwed right through there and went into the book. It was actually kind of remarkable when I realized that I had screwed that screw in with my thing, and I never even noticed that it was going right through the wood and into the books. Well, now we have a hole through one of the books. Handmade baskets, but looks like I have 2 copies. However, it may have gone through both. Shall we check? Okay. Oh, look, oh, here we are. Yes. Oh, it's nice to look at all the things you guys have said. Okay. Oh, yeah, I did already turn that. Wait a minute. I don't have to turn it again. Hey, my heater turned off. I can feel cold air on my toes. Okay, now, here are these books. Hey, you want to see my books I made? Oh, look at that. I had these basketry things that okay, let's go back to here. So I took it out, and there we have a screw hole. And how far does it go? Oh, look, it only went through 1 book. Good job. And it did not go very far in through it. It's at that. I love reading basket books. Basketry books are so awesome. Shall we look at a basketry book? Oh, I was going to show you this. Look at this. So what I did is I got, I had printed out some basketry books. This is called Pine Needle Basket Book. And this was like from a file. Looks like one side is right side up and the other side is right side down. But I had to have, oh, I see. Practical basket making is on this side of the pages. And my goodness, this is what a Nancy this is. Almost Spacey Nancy. Okay, so here we go. Let's see how far this. So this book is called Pine Needle Basket Book. So there's 2 books here, one going this way and one going that way. It has something to do with my ability to print. My mastery of the printer. Waste basket. Okay, but you could do this. You don't know what that means? 20 32-inch stakes. That means you need 32 pieces of basket stuff that are that long. And then you need a 1/2 pound of 1 1/8 inch weavers. So fine. So 20, not so. 20 fine weavers, 1 heavy stick 42 inches long, 2 bunches of sweetgrass, 3.5 yards of braided grass, 3 or 4 blades to a strand, and a lace of stakes, 10 each way to form a 7-inch square for the... Oh, here's the whole thing, knobs. Pass a fine weaver around the square and turn up the stakes. Weave 6 rows of broad weaver, 10 rows of fine, 7 rows of broad, 6 rows of fine. This makes a basket 10 1/4 inches high when completed. 4 inches from the bottom. Begin to make the stakes flare at the corners. The basket is 9 inches square at the top. Interesting. Oh, and this is a zigzag of braided grass. And this is the shape of the stakes for model 8. This is model 5. Handkerchief case. Well, that's interesting. Not only are they teaching you how to, they're teaching you the shapes. I mean, they're giving you lots of possible, these are all basket patterns, right? Didn't have time to read all the books. I had downloaded them and printed them out. So this must be like the box. Model 5. That's a cute little box, isn't it? I wonder how you make that. So which Nancy is this now? I've got a different Nancy here. I love reading basketry books. I just love it. I love making baskets. It's a lot easier to read a book about it than to do it. And I have done that little thing so many times where you split one piece of willow and then you stick the other one through it. So you end up with 4 of them that have openings in them, slits halfway through, and these are shoved through. This is a willow basket. Oh, Creative Nancy. Oh, yes, that's a good one. Hi. I forgot you were there. I get a little busy here, don't I? Creative Nancy. Oh, you know what happened yesterday? Somebody came to see me. And she's a friend of a friend, but the friend died, and we had never really met each other. We had both heard of each other. Contemplative Nancy. Yes, there's another one. It would be interesting to see how often these Nancys interrupt each other. You know, to go through one of these videos and analyze it. See, now there's Analytical Nancy again. She's kind of mixed in with Vain Nancy here because now I'm looking at myself. Doesn't this look like a nice house? Oh, anyway, so my friend came over yesterday and she said she stood in the room and she just looked around for a long time. People used to do that. And then they didn't. And now she did. And it's because I'm putting things on the walls. I mean, I'm supposed to do a tastefuller job. They are all survivors. You mean all the Nancys? Or maybe something else. Anyway, but I look at this. See, and I started putting my own stuff up there. See up here? See, I've got my thing I made. I think I made this when I was in a car getting the oil change. I was up on the hoist in Georgia. I made a video that day. See, there's a calendar. Still haven't written on it. And that's one of those dream catchers. Anyway, she came in, my friend came in, and she said that my house was a creative space. No, an art space. I've tried to do stuff like, I'm decorating it my own way now. And so like, well, that was my Christmas stuff. Was the pine up there. And then, see my curtain rods? I went out in the woods and found sticks. and then I just hung a little piece of strap and screwed the strap into the at the corner of each wall. There's a piece of wood that the wall board is screwed to. Anyway, so you screw into that, so you don't have to find a joist, because I'm really bad at listening for the joist. I think I hear it, but I always miss. I don't know what was that. You can take a nail, take a long nail, and you bend it. So you put it in, and you bend it through, and then you spin it. And if it hits a joist, you'll know. And so then you'll know where the joist is. But there's always a joist, just in case you don't know and you need to know. I'll tell you this now. See, this is like, what is this, Nancy? So when you have like this stuff, where's my finger? Okay. So you have one of those. And so there's going to be a piece of wood that goes from the ceiling to the floor. And this is all going to be nailed to one side or the other of it. And since there's a window here, there's going to be one alongside the window. But the trim that comes down the side, the trim is off the edge of the board. So the trim is, half of the trim is just on board, on wall, drywall, or whatever you call it. There's a different name for it everywhere you live. Is the top of that window crooked? Is it closed there? You know, like, is that black line? It looks like it's narrower up there, or is that just a figment of my imagination? But these doors, these are really bad way they come. This one, it won't stay closed unless you get that lock thing to work, and I can't get that lock thing to go. I guess I could get a hammer and do it. Well, anyway, so the joists, so who just interrupted there? Which one of us? Was that Contemplative Nancy? Anyway, so here we've got, and then there's Teacher Nancy. That's who this is right now. So there's a joist that goes from the ceiling, and it goes along the door, and then there's going to be one up across. And it's only going to be, it could be 4 inches thick, but it's probably going to be 1.5 inches, a 2x4. And so this piece of wood then is extending over it. But if you get up close to it and you screw it on the side, then you'll get into the joist, depending how wide the trim is anyway. So that's why, and there's one at the top of the room. It's called the top plate, and then there's one at the bottom of the room, which is the bottom plate. Then you got all these joists in between. And so at the bottom, just under the corner, I'd say within the first 1.5 inches. Well, now you see, hold on, that's not quite right, because, hello, Renee. The top, I was just explaining where the wood is, if you're ever going to nail stuff in, that there's a top plate and a bottom plate. And it's a 2x4, so it's 1.5 inches thick. And then there's one, as that says, 1.5 inches thick. And then your drywall is about 1/2 inch. So it takes into, so anyway, if you nail into the corner and not, you can nail straight in or you can nail straight up, but nailing at an angle is probably the best. Anyway, and see this one here? So that one got the stud, right? But it also is in the center of the door, and so there's usually studs up above the door, short studs. In this case, there's a beam. He put beams above the doors, 10-inch beams. And the beam then would have the 2x4 on top of it, which makes 12 inches, which is a foot. And these are 8-foot rooms and probably 7-foot doors or something. So there we go. That was Teacher Nancy. So we've been discussing all of the many Nancys. Of course, there's Nancy today, Nancy tomorrow, Nancy yesterday. I really appreciate Nancy yesterday. She does a lot of things that help. She thinks of Nancy tomorrow, which is, I'm grateful for that because I am often Nancy tomorrow. And so, like, I had been out yesterday exploring the marshwoods. And, okay, so now this is which one? The one that is telling you a story. But this is a memory, so we'll say memory Nancy. Memories Nancy. That's not the best word. We'll think of a better word. That's academic Nancy. No, that's analytical? No, that's academic. So we have academic Nancy, and we have Bain Nancy, and we have analytical Nancy, and we have Spacey Nancy, and we have memories Nancy. There, this is getting interesting. And they were all interrupting all the time. Like, you turn on Nancy today and you have no idea, do you? Not a clue what you're going to get. Or do you? You know you're going to get a lot of interrupting Nancys. Hammock Nancy and teepee Nancy. Oh, reflective Nancy. Yes, hammock Nancy. That's me in a hammock talking about how beautiful the leaves are up above. And swinging in the breeze. And I have my screen. Now this is another Nancy, dreamy Nancy. It's not reflective, is it? It's more like dreamy. Because we're talking about how beautiful the breeze and how lovely to see the leaves. Every leaf moves at a different speed and a different angle. None of them do the same thing with that one same little bit of wind. By the time it touches each leaf, the wind has changed. Ha, now we're into analytical Nancy. There we go, on to the next. So I screwed through the book, but that was okay because it made me get up and look at the book. And this book too. I like this book. I like that this side of the book is written upside down. And this is a pine needle basket book. And on the back, let's rotate it. And we have practical basket making. Now these are old, you know. This stuff is not like recent. Is this like teaching Nancy now? I guess it was an old library book, right? State Normal School, Los Angeles, California. Book is due on, date stamped, October 17th. 17? This would be like 1917. This is not a recent book at all. Practical basket making. And let's see what we have here. Well, we won't have the thing on the back of the page. Discard. Can you imagine? Discard. Oh. Practical basket making. I had a really nice time in my mother's house. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like it was any fun, but I really enjoyed discovering things. Oh, this is the the Clickitat weave. Clickitat. What does that mean? That. Fine baskets of various California weaves. So the Clinkitat, is that the same as the Clinket? Here we go into Analytical Nancy. But you see the pictures on the other side. It's not this book, that's another book. A few general hints to basket workers. Clean raffia as soon as bought by soaking in tepid water for over an hour. Rinse well by sousing up and down. Hang up the large ends to dry. Blunt needles are generally better than sharp. Thread needles with the dark and hard end of raffia. In sewing, keep raffia of one width as far as possible. In the evenness of the raffia stitches, the beauty of the basket largely depends. Oh, on the evenness of the raffia stitches. This is extremely important. In sewing, move needle. So now I've moved into teaching Nancy. In sewing, move needle as often as possible. The eye is liable to shred the raffia. Oh, so you move the needle up and down the raffia. Dampen the raffia frequently while working. Take out the twist of raffia as you sew. Take a step at a time and do that well. That's a really good point, That's like a given, but I don't do that. Be sure you know what you are going to do next before you proceed. Make haste slowly until you have learned how. Copy a simple basket first. Make your first basket without any color or design in it. Aim for perfect stitch and perfect shape. In your second basket, keep all that you have learned and introduce one color only. Never use high colors. Vegetable dyes are always the best. Adventurous Nancy, spring will be here soon. Can't wait to go walk to the pond with you again. Hey, you know what happened? So here comes interrupting Nancy. The thing is if I stop reading this page, the chances of ever picking it up again are really slim. So I'm going to finish reading this page and then I'm going to tell you about my whatever I did. Oh, yeah, Ben made a pathway around the moat. He snowblowed it. And so I could snowblow it afterwards. And so I snowblowed all the way around. And then I wanted to know how far from the property line is the moat. And so I had stood at the highway and I looked down the property line because I know where the property line is on the highway. But of course, it's related to the telephone pole, which is now moved, which has changed it a little bit. So I have to be careful there. But I was able to stand on the highway the other day and look at the hill and see that there was this top area of the hill that was higher than the hill beside it. And that was straight, like perpendicular to the road, is the property line. That's really good to know what angle. I'm pretty sure that's the angle. Anyway, so I was able to go from the moat road through the marsh woods to the base of that highest point and mark a tree with orange marker stuff, and then head toward. I tried to listen and hear when the cars were the very loudest as they passed on the highway because I couldn't see the highway. There's a woods between the marsh woods, and so I could hear it. So when I thought it was the highest, the loudest spot, which would be the closest, I headed in that direction. So I put another tag on the next tree. And I looked back and I made sure the two tags lined up with the top part of the hill. And then I looked the other way to see if I line up these tags, then what comes next. And I just kept going through. But then I ended up showing up way, like the angle I was going at from the hill was wrong. Of course, the hill is it's all like the side of a bowl. So it's kind of hard to know which angle you're supposed to be at, right? But anyway, so I was heading the wrong direction. And then I thought when I got so I could see where we were headed, I thought, no, wait, this is the wrong way. It was too open. It was coming out over a snowshoe labyrinth. Now, snowshoe labyrinth, I snowshoed there many times and took photos, videos. So if you look up snowshoe labyrinth, you can see that video. They're not long as this. Anyway, I'm going to finish reading this thing before I forget I'm going to read it. Okay. In your second basket, keep all you've learned and introduce one color only. Never use high colors. Vegetable dyes are always the best. The most precious Indian baskets have only the softest tones and shades. Do not be a pedant and spell raffia with a PH. Raffia. Raffia is a botanical technical name. Raffia is the common everyday people's name. When weaving with raffia, keep fingers slightly moistened. This prevents the catching of the edges and also improves the appearance of the raffia. Before making a basket, read what Mrs. Jones says of the coil button. It will help you begin well. After soaking your reed, be sure always to dry it well with a cloth. Otherwise, it will shrink when dry after weaving, and thus leave the coiling weave loose and unsightly. So now she's talking about reed here. After soaking your reed, this is practical basket making. This is just for basket making in general. So, but is this about the raffia now? No. After soaking, oh, reed. Yes, that's right. That's what that regular basket stuff is called. This is called reed usually if you buy it. Okay. After soaking your reed, be sure always to dry it well with a cloth, otherwise it will shrink when dry after weaving, and thus leave the coiling weave loose and unsightly. That was really an interesting page. I don't know what high colors are, and I was going to ask you, Susan, do you make baskets? Are you a basket maker? Does anybody make baskets? Any of my friends that come and talk to me on here? Native materials. The North American Indian is the greatest and best basket maker in the world. Eastern readers must not suppose by this I mean the weavers of the sweetgrass and split baskets with which they are familiar. I mean the Indians who weave such baskets as are pictured here in these pages. They found all their material near their native homes. Anchorage has a museum of all the baskets made from local materials and all the local materials and how to use them. Surely the civilized American can do the same. There is endless variety, and it is all waiting to be utilized. In the basket for July 1904 is the report of an interesting meeting with Primitive Arts Club held in Brooklyn, one department of which devoted considerable attention to the subject of native material. Chief of these is the willow, which is Dr. Schuyler Matthews writes in Familiar Trees and Their Leaves. Crack willow, one of the largest willows. Grows 50 to 70 feet. Anyway, it goes on about willow. There's only so much you can pay attention to at 3 a.m. Raffia suggestion. Look at that. Goodness. Sweetgrass. So see, raffia is not a local thing, though. Do I watch my older videos? So many wonderful adventures with Labyrinth. Oh, wow, you've been here a long time, eh? I'm gonna turn you around. That's so neat. You remember my Labyrinth adventures. You remember the labyrinths? Like, let's see if I can remember them. Like in Snowshoe Labyrinth, I'd make a new labyrinth every time. So here we are into memories, Nancy. I wonder how long I stayed on. I was learning the basketry. I was fascinated. So that was my academic. No, I don't know, just learning. What did you just say? Yes, you have. Yeah, that's so cool, Renee. Anyway, so I made labyrinths down in the. I tried to before we made the moat. Before I dug the pond or had it dug, it was just a field down there, and I always thought it would be a great place to grow strawberries. But it was really bumpy, and I thought that somebody had plowed it once and left all these ruts. But it hadn't. Those were tussock sedge, which you trip over, and of course now I know I could weave with them. And so now I collect them, and I look for them. Yeah, I don't remember when I was making soap in relation to other things. I think that my first videos were in Connecticut with Mary. I think the very first one I did was making a barrel. We were having so much fun. I found all these barrel pieces, and I found a metal ring. So I put the metal ring down, and I was trying to put all these barrel pieces in and then put the other metal ring on. And no, it was a stump. So I put the bottom ring on the outside of the stump, on the bottom of the stump, and then over the stump, and then I put pieces of bark. I had bark. I didn't have the slats for the barrel. I only had bark, and I had a stump, and I had these 2 rings. Or maybe it was 1 ring. Anyway, so I created a barrel on the stump with bark. Not a very, big deal or anything. Memories, Nancy, this is, yeah. We've been analyzing how many Nancys we've got. We've got vain Nancy, who always talks about her teeth or her hair or whatever she's looking at here. And we've got Memories Nancy that lapses into this wonderful memory. And there's the storytelling Nancy. And then there's Spacey Nancy. The first and my favorite is the tree stump potty. Well, that was on about the same day. I made about 10 videos. I made one of the sound of the wind in the trees and Mary removing rocks from the car trail. And Nature Calls. I found this hollow stump, and it was a perfect toilet, so I used it. And then I thought, that was cool, I'm going to make a video of it. I should have made the video before I used it. But anyway, couldn't tell I used it, could you? You know, the thing about books, it's like all those words right there. Let me look at this. See, here I go into the next thing. This is whatever. So all these books, they have different words on the ends. And they all remind you of different things. And they're all very creative. Oh, that's nice. I love this plated basketry book. Where's my finger? That one. That's making stuff out of birch bark. And these 2 cedar books are the same, but whatever. You can't always be different than neighbor. So they taught me about cedar and making cedar into splitting it up, making it really fine, like fabric. Yeah, so those Connecticut videos, those were my first ones. And then the one with dressing in layers, that was on the back porch there. And there were all these acorns that kept on the house. We were house sitting for a friend of Mary's. Oh, and then how to wake up your friend. And then we were painting a room. She was really into painting the rooms. So we painted this one room. She was really enjoyed doing the trim work. That was really a cool thing for her. And I sat at the table and I made baskets. When we made butterfly, those, I figured out how to, you know how you've got a butterfly in this substance? Oh yeah, my carrot earrings. Yeah, that was that same day. So we put butterflies. I laminated butterflies or did something like that to them. And then we put them on, like, on the top of the edge of the lampshade. So we had monarch butterflies. I had all these monarch butterflies that I had picked up on the road. They were dead. There was this highway. I had raised 150 monarch butterflies from eggs that year because I had kept finding them and I'd bring them home and do them. It was a huge crop of them last year. And then I gathered them up and I kept them all in this. I had a copy of the Book of Mormon. It was blank. It was a new book, so it was really well not messed up, you know. And so every page had room for a butterfly. And there was 150 butterflies I picked up that day. I had driven by or somehow, and I saw these butterflies on the side of the road. That must have been the same year I was driving a school bus. Because I would be driving the school bus and I could see these dead butterflies on the shoulder of the road that I couldn't see with my car. And so then I would go back after I drove that bus. I only did it for a few months. Still had the bus accident. Remember that? Oh, and I had the kids in the bus and they were running up and down the bus and I had, oops, I'm not supposed to say that. And I brought my hats. I brought in three big, huge bags, two big bags, garbage bags of hats. They were all beautifully decorated with flowers. And I let all the kids wear one. So they all got on the bus. As they got on, they got to pick a hat. And I guess I was picking them up after school. Anyway, we had such a great time. But yeah, so the first videos, those were, it's hard to stay on a subject, it's almost forced. Cleaning and stain removal. You know how many times I've read a cleaning and stain removal book? Yeah, I was just thinking about all those hats. There was a lot of money put into those hats. You know, I think I spent, each hat cost $10 or less. And I had about 50 hats, I think. And I would buy a clump of flowers. And you could get hats for $1 at the dollar store. So I had a bunch of hats for $1. And then $5. Remember they were on sale or whatever. And the dollar store was a good source. But I would get a bunch of flowers from, and there's all these hat making videos, aren't there? My whole life, those whole 10 years, my whole life was on here, you know. Everything I did, every creative thing I felt like doing. I try all kinds of things. I try to make holes in rocks. I made a hole in a rock for Anchor. She needed a hole in the rock for something. It was very hard to do. I don't know if it ever actually went in very far. I think I may have given up. Give up? I can do difficult things. And then there's the Nancy with all the sayings, right? I can do difficult things. You can do this at home. Results may differ. You saw it here last. This is the situation room. Car, it was the situation room. Did I take a video of windshield wipers when they didn't work? Like I had this car. We used to call it chemical warfare. So here we are into memories, Nancy, again. And it's a good thing that these are on here because, you know, when you get old, you only tell about 5 stories. You tell them over and over and over, and everybody's heard all your stories, and they're very nice and they nod. You know, it's like, I wish they'd just say you said that already. Or, you know, they could just tell me the date. Good morning. Good morning. So what am I talking about? Memories, Nancy. That book is Rush, Cane, and Straw, and that one looks just like it, but it's a little bit skinnier, and I don't think it's the same thing. Anyway, what were we talking about? My memory of something or other, which was nothing to do with anything that I could look at to remind myself of it. Oh yeah, how you got to have a lot of stories because, like, I'm noticing at this time in my life that I'm starting more to have memories and talk about stories that I've known or things that I've done or things. And my mother had some stories that she would always tell. She would tell us about her horse ribbons, showing her horses, and how President Roosevelt came to the fair, Rhinebeck Fair, and she was fair showing her horse. And she was, I mean, that was a huge thing to her. That really affected her whole life, you know. And she only actually showed these horses for 5 years, or not even. I think it was only 1 or 2 years that she was in the horse show, or 3 years maybe. it was like she used to do that and she always did it. Those years when we're a teenager are really our most very formative years, you know? Like when somebody goes into the army, I think the reason that being a veteran is such a huge deal has to do with the time that we do it. Like it's when you're 18 to 21 or something, people would get drafted or serve for 4 years or whatever they would do. And between 18 and 21, you know, that was when I did some amazing things in my life that really affected me. Like I joined communes and I lived in a hut in Jamaica, in a grass hut on top of a mountain or a pointy hill. And those memories, the things that I learned during that time, are really significant to me. I was searching for truth, and I was going many places and trying to learn many things, many different religions all over the world. Anyway, but I stopped when I found mine, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. You can ask me about that. See, there's lots of videos on too. How did we get into talking about what there are videos on? Oh, it was because we were talking about snowshoeing. Oh, yeah. So there's a snowshoe labyrinth down there at Sedge Meadow Teepee. And then I made another labyrinth back there in the field, the lowland. And then lately I made one across here in Cindyland, and I made one at my neighbor's across the 1 year. Felt guilty the whole time. I shouldn't be on other people's land. But it's okay on my sister's land, because I'm sort of the caretaker. Watcher over her. And so, what's the next thing? Sandcastle labyrinth. I used to go up on the driveway and make labyrinths. Oh, and Everfar. Right now I have my I'm trying to say terrarium gardens, but it's not terrarium. It's not terrace. They're raised garden beds. It's called. It's a German word. Forget what it is. Nine people and 5 thumbs up. Look at that. I live for the thumbs up, you know. Not really. We've been having a nice chat, haven't we? I wonder how many people have come here. I wonder if I touch that, if I'll see anything. Oh, what happened? Can't touch things. Leave it alone, Nancy. You're not supposed to touch anything. I might be low on battery, so I really shouldn't touch anything. Sorry about that. So I guess we've had a good chat, haven't we? I really liked reading this book, Practical Basket Making. It's from 1907 or something. What did we find? It's hard to open a birch bark book with one finger. And hold it in place. On Amazon books. And so then I just printed it out and put it in this book, which I also made these on YouTube, didn't I? This whole day of it was on YouTube. Look at this. This is broken up into 2. It's now a Dutch door. It seems like somebody had a Dutch door when I was growing up, but I really liked it. Maybe it was my aunt. So when you harvest birch bark,